Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Horns Report here on KXAN Plus. And before we get going, I'm your host, Billy Gates. And before we get going in earnest here, just want to let you know where you can find us. If you're watching us on our CTV app, thank you very much. That can be found on the Roku platform, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. We're coming soon to Samsung, so no worries, Samsung users. We'll get to you in a little bit. And if you find us on YouTube, thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe to KXAN News. Anyway, now that all that is done with, we're going to talk about some UT athletics as we normally do. Here with me is KXAN Sports Director Roger Wallace. And Roger, it's not quite the dog days of summer, but we're getting close to it. It is what, the middle of June after all, and all we have to talk about as far as football goes is this schedule that is starting to come together. Obviously, not a ton of clarity yet because the broadcast partners get to pick most of the game times, but we do have at least some broadcast windows for games, for all the games actually, and with some games at specific times. So, I mean, as you look at the schedule, we start the season with two 11 a.m. games. Obviously, the big one, Ohio State, to start the season, August 30th. But then after that, there's only one more AM start during the season, and that's Vanderbilt.
Well, the one thing I'm learning, Billy, is after last year where their road schedule was not exactly kind of SEC as we think of it heavy because A&M, been there, Arkansas, been there, OU is technically a road game in Dallas. So it was, basically that trip to Vanderbilt. And so what I've learned, Billy, as I start to plan our travel, it is brutal to get to some of these SEC cities because of convenient airports aren't exactly located in a lot of these cities. We're having a tough time with the Florida game in early October, Mississippi State, not exactly handy. So that's kind of the eye-opening thing. We knew this was going to be a much different looking schedule than last year because they just flipped the schedule. But yeah, those flex, it's hard because, okay, maybe you're going to be in the afternoon, maybe you're going to be in the evening. Other than that Vanderbilt game at home, that's going to be an 11 a.m. game along with Ohio State, and the non-conference home games, OU's at 2:30, A&M's at 6:30. But I guess the moral of the story, Billy, is kind of what you said at the top. We are slowing down, so it's good to at least have something to talk about with football and get people at least thinking in terms of, okay, I got to kind of plan my fall out. Which road games do I want to go to? Home games. I got people coming in. Okay, we know it's not going to be this. It might be afternoon. It might be evening. So anything to get our minds on the football season, I think, is welcome right now.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, it's kind of all we got until end of July is when they're going to start their training camp, and then things are going to get rolling really quickly. So speaking of content and things like that, we are going to start with our preseason positional reviews and previews on KXAN.com, and we'll also have those on game night the following Sundays. We're going to release the position reviews written by myself with the help of Roger and Noah and Levon, everybody here, on Thursdays. It'll be one a week from now until when camp starts there at the end of July, and we should be able to get through all of them. Might have to double up 1 week. We'll throw the special teams folks in there to get them all done before the training camp starts, and then we can focus on football, because right now it's just looking at October 4th here against Florida when they open the SEC. It's going to be could it be a 2:30 start or could it be a 7 p.m. start? Nobody really knows. So I can give you the schedule here. Let's see. Let's pull this up. Hopefully you're able to see that. So all of the non-conference times have been decided. That was decided in May. 11 a.m. Ohio State, 11 a.m. San Jose State, 3:15 against UTEP, and then 7 against Sam Houston. The SEC is where these times have been, either flexed, or in the case of Kentucky, which is actually my birthday, October 18th, that game's going to be a night game. And the Vanderbilt game November 1st will be a 11 a.m. game. All the rest of them that the SEC decided on, so Florida, Mississippi State, Georgia, Arkansas, they're all going to be not in the morning. So I guess we have that kind of clarity that they're not going to be in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of blowback, obviously, being in the central time zone for those noon Eastern kicks and the early start. And it's been a fact of life. And with Fox, a major partner in the non-conference the last couple of years with Ohio State and Michigan, that's their big slot, that noon kick. So they were part of it in Ann Arbor. They're going to be part of it in Columbus this year. But yeah, and it's just, the networks, they give themselves wiggle room here. Okay, we know you're not gonna be that early kick, but we can't decide who we want to have in the afternoon slot and then the evening window. So they kind of hold you hostage a little bit for that.
Yeah, and I mean that's kind of the thing that a lot of people like don't really understand. Like you're kind of the casual fan, they think, oh, the school is gonna schedule all these, and the schools get together, and that's not the case when it comes to big time college football. It's ESPN that does most of the scheduling as far as time of day goes, or in the case of the season opening game, it's Fox who wanted to have the marquee game of the week as part of their big noon kickoff show. And I know fans were not fans of that.
Well, yeah, I think the only time Texas controls is that Sam Houston game because
Right.
that's the SEC Plus game where essentially you can put it wherever you want. So it's on Plus, but even the other non-conference home games are set by the network. So just kind of the world we live in, and you ignore it and move on and get ready to play the season because there'll be a lot more to talk about than game times here. Don't forget SEC Media Days are in the middle of July,
Right.
strategically placed in the dog days
Yeah.
to kind of bridge that gap before training camp starts. So that'll be this year in Atlanta. Last year, of course, they did it in Dallas through Texas a bone, and
Sure.
A&M also benefited from the proximity. But now it goes back to the College Football Hall of Fame
Right.
area of Atlanta.
Yeah. And we will have full coverage of that too when it goes down. And speaking of football, obviously get to the college football playoff semifinals last season. Big implications in everyone's favorite postseason, school year award, the Learfield Directors Cup, which if you've known about it, then good for you. If you don't, then we're here to tell you about it because it appears that Texas is going to win their fourth in the past 5 seasons. There's some guy, like everything, there's some guy on Twitter who is keeping track of kind of the unofficial updates. Let me bring these up for you. Basically, what it says is it measures total athletic department success, and there's a certain amount of sports that are required for the scoring system. It's kind of a convoluted sort of scoring system that I believe it's the athletic directors that make up this sort of award. Is that right, Roger?
Well, I don't know who sets the criteria.
Right. Sure,
but
yeah.
They put the athletic directors, kind of the title on their
Yeah.
Directors Cup. Learfield, of course, a media rights holder for so many schools. I'm not sure if it even is the Learfield one anymore. If they moved on,
Right.
it used to be the Sears Trophy. But the interesting part is that the sports you have to include in your point totals don't include football. It's men's and women's basketball, it's volleyball, and it's women's soccer. So it doesn't have to be men's, women's, baseball. I'm sorry, not women's soccer, baseball. And then you pick your top 15. Well, do the math. Texas has 19 sports, so they have to include all of their sports. But like Ohio State, for instance, Stanford, they have way more than those sports, so they can insert the sports that give them the most points. And I think it came down to Texas and USC at the outdoor track championships over the weekend in Eugene, Oregon. And Kayla Garrett finished second in the 400. She earned 8 points, top point scorer for the Longhorns, either men or women. And I think that helped put them over the top. And none of those schools are playing in Omaha, which is the last sport standing. So they can't get any more points in that regard.
Yeah, razor thin margins. That's why we haven't really gone on record to say if Texas has in fact won. But it appears, according to this Directors Cup fanatic, that assuming his calculations are correct here on X, that Texas will win the award for the 4th time in 5 years. Now, and like I was saying earlier, This measures total athletic department success. The unofficial results have Texas winning this again. Texas won the last three, has won 3 out of the last 4. And Stanford, as you see on the results here, they were number 3. They've won this thing 26 times.
I think they adjusted the rules.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Stanford was benefiting for the volume of sports.
Yeah.
Now, no doubt, they're great at Olympic sports. They win a lot of national championships. But I think they decided, obviously, it's unfair if one school has 27 scholarship sports and another has 19. That's not an accurate picture. All this being said, Billy, again, schools would trade everything for a football or a basketball, even a baseball, women's basketball national championship. But it's something to talk about. It does show. And if you talk to Texas coaches, this is real. This isn't fabricated. I talked to John Fields last week talking about the U.S. Open, his golf tournament. He says it is a real thing that coaches pay attention to what else is going on, and it lifts them up and not only inspires them, but they realize they have to kind of keep up their end of the bargain when it comes to athletic success at the University of Texas. That's real. The rest of it is, fans. A lot of fans don't really care about sports beyond their 1, 2, 3, or 4 favorites, but it's a real thing in athletic departments.
Yeah, and I'm not going to wade down this road, but if you go into the reply section on these posts on X, people from schools who aren't in the top 5 or 10, they're really vocal about this being a Twitter award rather than some real thing. But this thing has been around for a very long time. Like you said, Roger, it was once called the Sears Trophy, but it was meant to recognize the same thing, and that's just success across a complete athletic department. And obviously, Chris Del Conte at Texas, if this is one of the measures that you want to use for a good athletic department, a healthy athletic department, clearly he's been able to do that.
Well, you go into replies, Billy. You go at your own peril, no matter what the topic is on
That's
X.
a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. All right. So, with that, let me flip over to, let's see. We were talking off air, Roger, and you were telling me that off air. We're recording this. Who am I? The Texas baseball team has dipped into the transfer portal once again. Can you give us some details on who Coach Schlossnagle has grabbed?
Yeah, well, the guy they faced, Mississippi State pitcher Luke Dotson. He's a left-hander. He pitched an inning of the third in that first of the 3 games in Starkville. And he's a guy that didn't pitch a lot, just 23 innings, 23 and a third innings, a little over 3 ERA. But just watching some of the video of him, he's got that high slot. Looks like he's got some pretty good stuff, and another left-handed arm that's had some success in the SEC. And we've seen guys go from 23 innings, and you could double or triple that depending on what role they take. But the bottom line is the roster build continues. And what jumps out to me, Billy, is still, other than Tommy Farmer IV, we have not seen a guy with a whole lot of playing time enter the portal for Texas. Now, the draft's a whole other story coming up next month, but there's some guys, and no need saying them because they aren't in there, but everybody's got their names. They thought maybe they'd be looking for a fresh start. So far, we've not seen that. We've seen a lot of guys looking for a different place because maybe the handwriting was on the wall that there wasn't a lot of playing time for them who have not played. But to me, that's one of the things that sticks out since the season came to an end a few weeks ago.
Yeah, and we have kind of just like combed the internet and combed different sources to kind of put together a list of all of the Longhorns either coming or going through the transfer portal. Currently, there's a lot more going than coming in, but maybe that changes here soon. On KXN.com, I've compiled something. Let me bring up my second monitor here again, and let's try to zoom in so y'all can see that. I do not have the latest update on here yet, the one that Roger and I have been talking about. But as you can see, a lot of guys taking off, kind of see that sort of writing on the wall, like what Roger was talking about. Probably not going to get a ton of time coming up. I kind of, that Tommy Farmer move, and we've discussed that. That kind of raised my eyebrows a little bit, especially with Max Ballou headed to the MLB draft, presumably. but hey, who knows at this point? I kind of thought Oliver Service leaving. Thought he could have been some guy behind the plate that could have seen some time, but I mean, obviously, those folks within the program know more than I do. So,
well,
who
2
knows?
years and he hasn't, had any notable playing time. Cole Chamberlain was the guy
Sure.
that would step in for Rylan Galvan. I think they're fishing out there. I think there's some big fish in the portal. Most notably, the catcher from Notre Dame, Carson Tinney.
Right. Yeah, he is kind of the last sort of big guy to reel in. Yeah.
So again, not sure if Texas is in on him or not, but that's such an important position, and you have to believe Rylan Galvan will go on to the next level. So as Schloss says, I've never had a great team without a great catcher, shortstop, and center fielder. So
right.
Those are some big spots. They have dipped into the portal. I hesitate to talk about some numbers with guys. When you look at this past weekend, Jack Moronknek from Butler, Caleb Freeman from Georgia State. You look at their offensive numbers and just realize probably not realistic that those numbers translate for two reasons. One, it's the SEC. They're going to see better pitching. And I would say that to a certain extent for the Big 12. So I'm not, just talking about the SEC. And second, the ballpark. The Dish is a tough hitter's park. It's become way more friendly. But the first part of the season, that north wind, you need a cannon to get it out unless you're getting that crosswind and you can get to the short down the lines. But anyway, the numbers are big coming in. Don't always assume they're going to translate, but still they're guys that obviously have been very productive.
Mm-hmm.
And my guess is Schloss and his staff, they're being pretty picky about who they're going after. If they're going after them, same with Sark, same with now Sean Miller. You're going after a portal guy.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, you have to pay him. So second of all, you don't want a project. You want guys that can, if they're not stepping into the lineup, they can push somebody in the lineup. Right. And so, that's kind of my take on what they've done through the portal so far.
Yeah, certainly with the portal's a plug and play type deal. It's not development. Like you want some dude who wants a, change of scenery, who's ready to roll. End of year awards. Obviously, Texas baseball season did not go how they wanted to. They lose out in the regional round to UTSA. The College World Series is going on right now as we record this. And Gage Wood from Arkansas has got a perfect game going against Murray State in the losers bracket there. That's pretty wild. But as far as the Longhorns go, two players make the National Collegiate Baseball Writers Association All-American team. Dylan Volantes, the freshman closer who had a tremendous season. He's a first-team selection, not just for a freshman team, on the legitimate team, on the actual first team. He is just a great season for him. And then Rylan Galvan, we mentioned him earlier. He's a third-team selection at catcher. Roger, that's got to be nice to have a battery on your All-American team.
Well, we saw up close how important they were. And interesting, if you think about it, the two preseason All-Americans, Jalen Flores and Max Ballou. Ballou, obviously, the injury lost about half the regular season. And then Flores just didn't have the year, especially offensively, that people thought he would follow up. But yeah, Volantes, the thing about him, Billy, is he came in with a lot of hype and he lived up to it. So that's always impressive. And we saw why Schloss was so high on him in the preseason and early on, and talked about what a unique talent he was. And sure enough, we saw that. I think if you watch and read a little bit about Luke Dotson, I think some similar qualities with the way he pitches from the left side. And then Galvan was, just the heart and soul of that team. Had a tough finish, like so many guys did offensively, which is one reason why they didn't get out of the regional. But first team All-American freshman. It'll be interesting to see if his role changes next year.
Sure, I kind of think he might find his way to a starting role, but who knows?
Yeah, and then, where does Galvan end up in the draft? Is there a slim crack in the door now with NIL that, if things don't go the way he wants in the draft, would he consider another season? They also have to talk about the scholarship limits that are now unlimited for baseball, 34. Chris Del Conte said in his 40 Acres report they will max out on the limit for every sport.
Yep.
So how about that, going from 11.7 baseball
Yeah.
to 34? And all schools aren't going to be able to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've heard of a lot of prominent baseball programs where their athletic department just doesn't want to put money,
Oh.
into their baseball
I mean,
program.
I can think of one who's currently undefeated in the College World Series right now. That's Coastal Carolina. Like, they don't have a ton of money there, and like,
Right.
and that it is their most successful program. As far as postseason success goes, they've won a national title within the last 7-8 years, something like that.
It was 9 years ago.
9 years ago,
Yep.
okay. So, I mean, you get smaller programs like that, and like if they can't put that kind of scholarship money up against a Texas, against an Alabama, against a pick whatever large state university you want to. I mean, that's going to put them behind from the jump, and I guess that makes their success that much more
No question.
successful.
I mean, yeah, and they're not even.
Yeah.
They're just now a power. They just happen to be a mid-major.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, they're hosting regionals, and they were, on the cusp of being a national seed, and
Yeah.
certainly playing like one. And Murray State, a team that got there.
Golly,
and if you've
yeah.
seen pictures on the internet of their stadium,
Mhm.
it is a miracle. But I mean, that goes to show, and every coach is preaching in the country, forget all this stuff.
Right.
Go out and play with a chip on your shoulder.
Mhm.
So yeah, whether you have the advantages of 34 scholarships or not, still got to go out there and play, and things have to fall your way. So that just kind of gets the more of that attitude going between the haves and the have-nots financially.
Absolutely. Going back to Galvan real quick, set career highs, 296 batting average, 15 homers, 47 RBIs, and he's not a catcher, but he is a catcher, but he stole 9 bags this season. If you're a catcher out there swiping bags, that's saying something.
And he was an Iron Man behind the plate.
Yeah.
I mean, he was as long as he was healthy, he caught just about every game, and Sloss talked about he wanted to give him a break, but he just could not afford to sit him. Every game was so important. He gave him a couple of days off, and he got injured at Missouri, and Cole Chamberlain caught a little bit in that series. But the wear and tear he took behind the plate, all those breaking balls.
Yeah.
He was trying to stop for 3 months. Hats off to the kind of season he had.
Yeah, it's not easy catching the whole season back there and then trying to hit the ball.
Right.
It's not easy at all. I know a lot of folks don't think of it that way, but there's a lot of wear and tear, and obviously your catcher's main job is defense, and it's you're the captain of the defense, and you're managing your pitching staffs, and you're doing all this stuff, and then the offense is a bonus if you've got a good defensive catcher. So it's pretty crazy what he was able to do, and hopefully that leads to a big payday for him coming up in the draft later on in the summer. The MLB Draft Combine is coming up. There's a few Texas players in it. Max Ballou, Jalen Flores, and Ruger Riojas, I believe, is the other guy. And there are some Texas commitments in there too. So we'll see. That it doesn't have the same cachet as the other professional sports combines, Roger. But it is a way for front offices to see draft eligible guys and see if they can grab any of them in the now 20 round draft, as opposed to back in our day when it was 40
or unlimited.
Or
you want to keep drafting, go ahead.
Grabbing people left and right.
Yeah.
That third day conference call, that lightning round, was always just a fun listen in the background to see if you could catch anybody. It was nuts. But anyway, moving over to softball real quick. I know we've kind of belabored this point. They won the national championship, so we're going to talk about them quite a bit. There was one story that Levon Whitaker, our own Levon Whitaker, wrote about Jolie Mitchell. And this is interesting because Levon used to cover Notre Dame, and that's where Jolie Mitchell transferred to Texas from. And so he has a little bit of background on Jolie's past. And gosh, Roger, she had quite the ordeal trying to come back from not only prep for Tommy John surgery. It turned into something completely different. And then she got COVID really bad.
Yeah, it's a remarkable story. I encourage people, like you said, to go watch it on KXAN.com. The story is linked to the written version as well.
Here
but
it is right
here. Yeah, and if you listen to her talk during the season, I mean, she was a no-nonsense player that also was very kind of grateful for this second chance. She's from Arkansas, and she joked with Levon about she took some heat from friends and family in Arkansas. They're not going to care much if you go to Notre Dame, but
Right.
you know, you go south and cross the border, you're going to hear about it. And
Yeah.
she thought, well, this is my best chance. Had a great Women's College World Series leading into the championship series with those 3 home runs. Got the national championship. Not often can you say, I want to go there to win a title because so many things have to happen correctly.
Right.
But she did it, and it was just cool to get her perspective on what she went through and what this has been like for her last year to getting close in the championship series, and then this year. And I thought it struck me, Billy, when he was talking with her, and she had the trophy, and she goes, you know, if you get second, you get this trophy too. It just says runner up. That's some pretty good awareness.
Yeah.
Because it's exactly right. They look identical until you look at the engraving.
Yeah, and yeah, it was great, great for her to perform, so well after all the stories that I've written on her this season. She's just a very interesting, well-spoken collegiate athlete, and not a lot of those come around, and so it's nice to give those sorts of athletes recognition. And she had a great College World Series, a great postseason. Helped her bat, like Mike White has said it, in previous interviews. She doesn't have maybe the most aesthetically pleasing swing, but I mean it's really good bat to ball. It's really good launch angle stuff, and she hits the ball out of the yard.
Yeah, I mean Jim Furyk doesn't have an aesthetically pleasing golf swing, and he won a lot. So yeah, but yeah, and every kid's got a story. Everyone on every roster's got a story, and it's cool to tell some of them, especially the unique ones like that work out the way they did. So kind of a magical season, and for her, magical 2 years at Texas. And I'm sure the runner-up 2 years ago meant that this year's was even that much sweeter.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, I think that we are going to end this episode of the Horns Report here. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate you watching on whatever platform you choose. We're everywhere. We're all over. So be sure to catch us on our CTV app, YouTube. We'll post this on Facebook later. We'll have a full menu of viewing offerings for you. For Roger Wallace, I'm Billy Gates, and we'll talk to you again very soon.